Have you ever felt like you were being watched, but when you looked, no one was there? Or perhaps, you've heard strange noises in the dark, only to turn around and find nothing? The truth is, there are places in this world where reality seems to bend, where the line between the known and the unknown becomes blurry. In those places, something waits. Something we can't fully comprehend. Welcome to Night Encounters, a place where the stories are darker, the mysteries deeper, and the unknowns more terrifying. These are the tales of those who've experienced something beyond the ordinary, something that challenges everything we think we know about the world around us. In tonight's episode, we'll hear 3 chilling, allegedly true stories of encounters with creatures, forces, and events that defy explanation. From deep within the woods, to forgotten tunnels, and across eerie, empty fields, these are experiences that no one should ever have to face alone. So, settle in, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown. This is Night Encounters, and these are the stories that haunt the darkest corners of the world. Story 1, The Creature in the Woods, by Ash Lay. It was late summer, 2018. I was 22 and had just moved to a small cabin up in the mountains to get away from city life. The place was quiet, peaceful. I had everything I needed: food, water, and my guitar to pass the time. Most nights, I would walk out onto the deck to stargaze, listening to the wind rustling through the trees. It was perfect. One evening, after a long hike through the woods, I decided to take a break and sit by the fire pit. As the sun dipped below the trees, everything seemed peaceful. I was alone, but I liked it that way. No distractions. No noise. That's when I heard it, the snap of a twig behind me. I froze. My first thought was that it was just a deer or some other animal, but something about it felt off. The sound was too deliberate. As if someone, or something, was moving carefully through the forest, trying not to be noticed. I turned slowly, scanning the trees around me. Nothing. I shrugged it off, telling myself it was probably just my imagination. But my gut kept telling me something was wrong. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The next night, the same thing happened. This time, it was closer. A branch cracked loudly, followed by the sound of something large moving in the underbrush. I stood up, my heart racing, but I didn't see anything. I called out into the dark, "Is someone there?" My voice sounded shaky, even to me. No answer. I went back inside, locked the door, and sat by the fire. But sleep didn't come. My mind kept racing, imagining what could be out there. Maybe a hunter? But there were no hunting grounds nearby. Then I heard it again, a low growl, distant but unmistakable. The next morning, I decided to go deeper into the woods. I grabbed my backpack, threw in a knife for safety, and ventured out, determined to figure out what had been lurking nearby. I wasn't going to let my imagination get the best of me. About an hour into my walk, I found something strange, large, humanoid footprints in the mud, leading deeper into the woods. I knelt down, inspecting them. They weren't human, but they were too big to belong to any animal I knew. My stomach churned. The growl from last night wasn't my imagination. I followed the tracks for what felt like forever, my anxiety building with every step. Finally, I came to a clearing and saw it, a tall, twisted figure standing motionless in the shadows. It was half hidden behind a tree, but I could see enough to know it wasn't a person. It was far too tall, and the shape was wrong. I couldn't make out details, just the silhouette of something inhuman. I froze. My body went cold. My instinct screamed at me to run. But before I could move, the creature took a step toward me. The ground beneath it seemed to shake, and its heavy breathing filled the silence. Its eyes, glowing faintly, fixed on me. Without thinking, I turned and ran. My breath came in short gasps, my legs burning from the adrenaline as I sprinted through the woods. I didn't stop until I was back at the cabin, the door slamming behind me. My hands were shaking as I fumbled with the locks. I never went back out there. I left the cabin the next morning, not bothering to pack. I didn't care about the things I'd left behind. I've never spoken about it to anyone, and I never will. I don't know what it was or what it wanted. But it's out there. I'm sure of it. Story 2: The Cursed Tunnel by Alexis. It was a cool autumn evening in 2020 when I decided to take a walk with a couple of friends through an old, abandoned railroad tunnel near our town. The tunnel had been closed off for years, a remnant of a forgotten era. It was known to locals as the Cursed Tunnel, but that didn't stop people from sneaking in for a thrill. We had heard the stories, strange noises, unexplained disappearances, and creepy sightings, but honestly, we thought it was just superstition. After all, what could possibly be hiding in an old tunnel? So, with flashlights in hand, we ventured inside, laughing and joking, more excited than scared. We figured we'd explore it for a bit and then head back to the warmth of our cars. As we made our way deeper into the tunnel, the air became thick with an oppressive feeling, and the temperature dropped noticeably. At first, it wasn't anything we couldn't ignore. We joked about the spooky atmosphere, but it wasn't until we heard the first strange noise that the mood shifted. It was a distant whisper, faint but distinct. We all froze and looked at each other. "Did you hear that?" one of my friends asked, his voice tinged with unease. We all nodded, but none of us said anything for a few moments. It sounded like someone calling our names, but there was no one else around. I shrugged it off. "It's just the wind," I said, though I wasn't sure if I believed my own words. But the sound didn't go away. It seemed to echo through the tunnel, lingering in the dark corners where our flashlights couldn't reach. It felt wrong, like something was trying to lure us deeper. The deeper we went, the more the tunnel seemed to twist and grow darker. The air felt heavier, like it was pressing against us. Every step seemed to reverberate unnaturally, and the whispering never stopped. It became a constant, low murmur in the background, so faint that it was almost inaudible, but always there. It was as if it was just out of reach, teasing us. We tried to ignore it, but then the tunnel began to change. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like the walls were closing in on us. The air was getting thinner, and our breath began to come out in short gasps. We had been walking for what felt like hours, though it couldn't have been more than 30 minutes. Then, we saw something that made us all stop dead in our tracks. At the far end of the tunnel, just before the shadows overtook the light from our flashlights, there was a figure. It stood perfectly still, almost blending in with the walls. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the flickering beam of my flashlight. But when it moved, I felt a chill crawl down my spine. It wasn't human. The figure stepped forward, and my heart stopped. It was tall, almost unnaturally so, and its movements were jerky and wrong. Its skin, if you could call it that, seemed to shimmer, as though it wasn't quite real. It didn't make a sound, but the air around it felt suffocating, like something ancient and malevolent was bearing down on us. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't move. My legs felt like they were glued to the ground. The creature's eyes, if they were eyes, glowed with a dull, sickly yellow light. There was no face, no features. Just two orbs of light staring at us with a hunger that made my stomach twist. My friends were frozen, just as I was. But one of them, Matt, started to back away slowly, his breath shallow and panicked. The creature's attention shifted to him. It took one step forward, and the tunnel seemed to stretch, pulling him in. His voice broke the silence, a strangled cry as he stumbled backward, his foot catching on something. He fell hard, but when he looked up, the creature was gone. It was as if it had never been there. Only the air remained, thick, heavy, and cold. We didn't stay any longer. We ran as fast as we could, not daring to look back, until we were out of the tunnel and back in the safety of the town. Our legs were burning, our hearts pounding in our chests. None of us spoke much on the way back. We knew what we saw, but we couldn't explain it. Matt was the worst. He was shaking uncontrollably, and the look on his face, it was like he had seen something that shattered him from the inside out. We never went back. None of us. And to this day, I don't know what we saw in that tunnel. But I don't think I want to know. It's better to leave things like that buried in the darkness where they belong. Story 3, The Watcher in the Fields, by Brett. It was late spring of 2017 when I moved to a small rural town in the Midwest. I had just finished college and decided to take a break from the hectic city life. The house I rented was located at the edge of a field, surrounded by acres of farmland. It was peaceful, quiet, and far removed from the chaos I'd left behind. The first few weeks were idyllic. Mornings were spent sipping coffee on the porch, evenings on long walks through the fields, and nights under the stars. There was something calming about the isolation. The town itself was small, and I quickly grew familiar with the people, friendly, simple folk who kept to themselves. There was a comfort in that. But then, something started to feel off. It started slowly, like a faint, unsettling presence just beyond my field of vision. It began one evening when I decided to take a walk through the fields at sunset. The long, golden grass stretched out in front of me, swaying gently in the breeze. I walked along the edge of the field, my boots crunching on the dry earth. I wasn't paying much attention until I noticed a figure standing at the far end of the field, near the tree line. At first, I thought it was just another farmer, maybe out for an evening stroll like me. But as I approached, I realized it wasn't moving. I squinted, trying to make out the details, but the figure was too far to see clearly. I waved, thinking I might just be being paranoid. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it stood perfectly still, watching me. My stomach tightened, but I forced myself to keep walking. It was probably just someone's scarecrow or some odd local custom. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about the figure. I'd catch glimpses of it from my window, always at the edge of the field, watching. It never moved, never made a sound. It was as if it was waiting for something, waiting for me. I told myself it was just my mind playing tricks. But the more I tried to ignore it, the more it lingered in my thoughts. It started to feel like a presence, something not quite human. Something that knew I was there. One night, I decided to go back out to the field, determined to confront whatever it was. Armed with nothing but a flashlight, I stepped out into the darkness, my footsteps soft on the damp earth. As I made my way to the spot where I'd seen the figure, my heart began to race. The field was completely silent. Too silent. That's when I heard it, a faint rustling sound from the far end of the field, followed by the sound of something heavy moving through the grass. My breath caught in my throat. The figure was there again, standing just as it had before, but this time, it was much closer. I froze, the beam of my flashlight trembling in my hand. The figure didn't move, didn't even acknowledge me. But I could feel its eyes on me, even from the distance. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as I whispered, "Who's there?" There was no answer. Then, it happened. The figure stepped forward, revealing itself fully. I could see it now, a tall, thin man, dressed in old, tattered clothes, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. His face was hidden in shadow, but I could make out the outline of his features, or rather, the lack of features. His face was smooth, unnervingly so, like a mask. No eyes. No mouth. Just smooth, pale skin stretched over the bone. I stumbled back, my pulse pounding in my ears. My body screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. The figure started to walk toward me, slow and deliberate, its feet barely making a sound on the earth. I turned and fled. I didn't stop until I was back inside the house, the door slammed behind me, my heart racing. The next morning, I called the sheriff's office. When I described the figure, the deputy on the phone was silent for a long time before asking, "You didn't see anything, did you?" "No one's out there. That's just an old myth." I pressed him, asking about the figure, but he quickly shut the conversation down, telling me not to worry about it. But that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was still out there. I moved away soon after, unable to escape the sense of being watched. I don't know if what I saw that night was real or if my mind had conjured it, but I'll never forget that face, or the way it felt like it knew everything about me. There are some things in this world that are better left unexplored, things that we can't quite explain, things that haunt our dreams long after we wish we could forget them. These encounters, whether they come from the deep, hidden places of the earth or from the spaces between our own thoughts, remind us that we are never truly alone. Perhaps it's the unknown that we fear most, the things we can't see, the forces we can't understand, lurking just out of our reach. They leave us questioning everything, doubting our senses, wondering if we were ever truly safe in the first place. As unsettling as these stories are, one thing is clear: the darkness hides many secrets, and some of those secrets will never be fully revealed. If you've experienced something similar, something that defies explanation or logic, something that continues to linger in your mind, we want to hear from you. Share your story with us, and you could be featured in one of our future episodes. Send your true, original story to nightencountersstories@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, The next encounter could be just around the corner, hidden in the shadows.